Hello, everyone, and welcome to DQFBC Rooted Youth Ministry Podcast, the show that covers today's issues, topics concerning our youth, and the world they're living in. I'm your host, Pastor Jared, and our guests for today's episode are two of our youth members here at First Baptist de Queen with Bella Reese Roberts.
Hi, everybody.
And Reagan Herwick.
Yo.
So in today's episode, we're going to be introducing the show by briefly explaining a little bit about who I am and what this show will be about. And when I say briefly explaining, I mean brief. With each episode, you'll get to know who I am as well as who our youth members are. So thank you for joining us. Let's get started. I'm the associate pastor and student pastor here at D Queen First Baptist Church, hence where the show gets its name, FBC or DQFBC Rooted Youth Ministry. Our lead pastor here is Pastor Josh, who you'll meet in a later episode. We're so blessed to have him here as our lead pastor, and I'm blessed to have him as a friend and as my oversight. My main role within the church is student pastor or youth pastor, which I absolutely love. To have the privilege of watching the spiritual growth in these teens is such a rewarding experience. The main objectives here at D Queen First Baptist Church with our youth are to lead them to Christ, disciple them, and send them out to make Christ known. Now, I had the idea for this podcast during the weekend of our D Now weekend, which is short for Discipleship Now, back at the end of September. We had a guest speaker that weekend who poured into our youth, and his name is Michael Simmons. If y'all want to say hi to Michael, he's probably going to be watching.
Hi, Michael. We miss you.
So that's who kind of gave us the inspiration for this. And he has his own podcast. It's called Almost Brothers, which is a great podcast, by the way, that we had the joy of being a part of that weekend. And Michael and his associate pastor, who remembers the associate pastor's name?
Joe.
No, it's
Nope.
Richard.
That's it. Pastor Rich.
Right.
Close enough.
There you go. I'm disappointing you, Bella. And he's going to be watching this. He's not going to like
I
that.
just remember him
Comment
eating
on
those
the video.
chocolates at our
Yeah.
Miss Sally's
You could
house.
comment on this video, like, I'd be really mad.
But they brought their podcast equipment with them, and they had us as guests on their show for 2 evenings. The first evening was with the girls, and the second evening they had at the guys' house, and the youth, they loved it. And I didn't realize how many stories we had to tell, and the topics that surfaced throughout the show. And then it hit me, we need to do our own podcast. So that's kind of how it started, and here we are. And today's episode, I'm joined, I've already introduced them, by Bella and Reagan. And so we're going to get started. And how are you guys doing today?
Good.
Good.
How was your days?
So good.
Wow, that's a
Very
short
good.
answer. So I'm going to start off by doing warm-up questions.
What
Let's
other
get your
answer
mind
did you
going.
want?
Huh?
What other answer were you expecting?
I don't know. Just kind of elaborate on how your day was, but that's okay. That's why I'm going to do warm-up questions, kind of get you guys ready. So first question I want to ask is, what's your favorite childhood memory?
That's a tough one.
Why do you have so many?
Yeah, I have a lot of memories. It
What's your-
depends on
What's your
like,
favorite? If one that sticks out, the first one, without thinking through the whole,
does childhood still count like recently?
no, we'll say 10 and under.
Wait, so you said the first thing that comes to mind.
At 10 years old and under, the first thing that comes to mind, that's the most favorite thing that you can think of.
Well, I don't
Okay.
know.
The first thing that comes to mind for me is not a good thing.
No, your favorite childhood
Yeah.
memory. I have
I got
favorites.
mine.
Go ahead.
Reagan, are you?
I have no
Go ahead,
idea.
Bella.
All right, well, I'll let you think. So mine is whenever me and my cousin, Caden, Pavat, he's a Greenbrier boy, if he's listening. Hi, Caden. But, me and him, we'd always go to my Nana's house, at her old house, and we just play upstairs and everything. And I just miss that a lot.
You brought your
Like-
cell phone during this.
I put it on Do Not Disturb, I didn't.
Jared, you
I
need
didn't
to.
know
It's
it
in your
was-
pocket.
Mine's over there.
Alright, that,
Mine's
those are
over
my
there, too.
favorite memories. And then me, him, and my stepsister Izzy, who I'll call my sister, playing Minecraft and yeah, playing around whenever we were little. Those are my favorite memories right there.
You know what you called me when we first met?
Patrick.
Yes. You called me, you're Patrick, you're
It has
Patrick.
nothing to do with
Why-
Minecraft.
Yeah,
but
well, you're that age.
Wait, why'd
You
you
were
say
playing-
Patrick?
She just called me Patrick. She thought it was
I
funny, I
thought he
guess.
was like Patrick.
I guess I
mean,
laugh like Patrick.
That was him and my mom were even dating. Yeah.
know.
like I just like met him.
Yeah, she was 4 years old. It was barely 4. And I walked in that cabin where she was at, and I asked where Dusty was, my friend. First time I'd ever seen her, laid eyes on her, and she was sitting there cross-legged on a table up in the middle of the living room in a cabin, and she didn't say anything. She just goes and points and looks at me, and I was like, okay. And I walked back there trying to find him, and I bumped into Amanda in the hallway. First time I'd ever seen her, and I said, "Where's Dusty at?" And she said, "I think he's in the back room." And I went back there, and there he was. And I asked Dusty who was that, and he told me. And anyway,
Yeah, you couldn't focus.
we're gonna keep talking about you guys, though. We're not gonna put this on me. So there's your favorite memory, is us meeting.
I know, I
Not
guess-
kidding. That was my favorite
On
memory.
her saying Minecraft, like, I don't know, I guess when I first got Minecraft, that was pretty awesome.
Oh yeah.
Like 6 years old, I just had heard about it. I wanted to play it.
Me
So
and Reagan are nerds.
Minecraft for you guys is like Mario for me when I was a kid. So
Yeah.
you know, every
Mario's
time Mario
fun.
came out, I was like, yes, it was brand new. It was the '90s. But for you guys, that's Minecraft. It's like when your first real game that you really enjoyed and you understood how to play.
Yeah, my first game was a Mario game.
Oh, was it?
It was
Which one?
Mario Kart Wii.
Oh yes, I love that. Me and Bella
Oh.
played that.
Yeah, my aunt has a Wii, and we go over there sometimes and play on the
Yeah.
with the
I like Wii
steering
Sports.
wheels.
Oh,
With
we
the stick.
sports.
Wii Sports is fun.
Yeah.
Tennis is my favorite
I
one.
threw out my arm in that when Heath and Drew, my brother and his
It's so
roommate,
fun.
man, they had that golf game, and I'm not kidding. It tells you to stretch before you. Have you seen the things before?
Yeah.
It tells you to stretch and stuff before you actually play and get a right amount of space, X, Y, and Z. And I remember I got done in my lower back, and I was young too. I guess I've been playing too hard on it, but yeah. So I'm gonna do another question. What's the best compliment you've ever gotten? Go ahead, Bella. You're just grinning ear to
Oh,
ear.
well, I don't know.
You know what I thought of when I asked that?
What?
When you thought you got complimented on your eyebrows?
Oh no, it was my
I want to hear.
eyes.
I want to hear about that. I
This
want to hear
was-
about that.
okay. We were on the mission trip, 2023.
Yes.
This was before me and Bo were a thing, and we were getting on the bus, and Aubrey said, "Bo, you have really pretty eyelashes," and I said, "Thank you, Aubrey. Thank you. I've waited my whole life for somebody to like. I just got so happy that somebody just thought about like, cause I always liked my eyelashes. I always thought they were like nice, and she's like, I said Bo, not you."
She thought you said Bella. She said
And-
Bo. Just
Hey,
destroyed her.
Jared, I think you should tell him who Bo is. Like we were talking about, tell an
Well-
embarrassing story about Bo.
I just hope that this podcast ages well. Where you talking about him, because in 2 years y'all might be broke up, and talking about this you might cry in your bed.
Oh well.
We'll talk about
Jared,
Awkward.
you
it
should
might
say an
age
embarrassing
well. I don't
story.
know. We'll see.
Jared, say an embarrassing story about Bo, like you said you were gonna.
Well, I'm gonna do it when
if
he's
we brought
here.
up about Bo.
I'm gonna do it with him here. I got some about him. But anyways,
Yeah,
So-
we do.
what's the best compliment you've ever gotten?
I don't know. Honestly, I can't think of one.
Okay,
I
Reagan.
got.
If you can't think of one,
I don't go to public school. This isn't a fair question.
how old are you?
14.
Oh, I know.
You're the
mine.
smartest 14-year-old I've ever met.
Yeah,
That's
you really
the-
are.
that's
You
what I
really
choose.
are.
That's what I
No, I'm
choose.
not kidding.
You
I'm
really
being
are.
dead
I'm
serious.
curious
Thank
too.
you.
Yeah. So there you go. The best compliment you've ever gotten.
So
Yeah,
here's
right there.
mine. Like somebody told me
I know one for you.
through a friend that I have the best personality in the school.
Yes, I do.
That,
you tell me that.
Like actually, and they didn't tell it to me directly, and they didn't expect me to hear it, and I just thought that was nice.
You remember when we were going to the restaurant and you said, "That's the best thing ever."
Mhm.
What am I thinking of?
Oh.
When they said 3 adults and 1 kid, and I was talking about Sawyer, and you're like, "You called me an adult?" You're
Oh
like,
yeah. I
you're like
remember
12 or
that.
13.
I also remember that when that waitress walked up to me and she said that I was really pretty.
Yeah.
That was nice.
Okay, so
Whoever
those are the
that
compliments.
waitress is, I'm gonna give you a little extra tip in your jar.
You know what? I think you're right. This is going to go on for hours.
Yeah.
we only just
We're
finished
only-
question 2.
Yeah, I have 18, but we won't go through all of them if we get time for it. So what's if? Okay, I'll start with Reagan first. Are you an introvert or an extrovert?
I don't know.
Introvert.
I know
and
what
He
extrovert.
knows.
Okay,
I know what
so
they mean.
We
but
just
I
said he
don't
was the
know.
smartest
Nat-
14-year-old.
that's true. Naturally, which one do you?
Yeah, if I didn't know what that was, it kind of goes against what you just said.
It's true. Yeah, I'll give you more credit than that. Okay, so what do you honestly? I can tell you naturally. Me, I'm introverted naturally. Oh, this is how you would know. Do you get by yourself to recharge, or do you need to be around people to recharge? See what I'm saying? With me, I gotta get alone, and it helps me to recharge. And then I'm ready, and I enjoy being around people. But if I'm around people 24/7, I start to get drained, and I got to get back away by myself a little bit to kind of get charged and ready again. Some people, like when COVID hit, they got depressed. It drained them being by themselves, and they had to have a connection with someone. So they needed the people to get charged up again. That's not me. I'd be on an island and okay. So where are you at with that? If that's you, which one helps you get? Which one drains you more, people or alone time?
People. So yeah.
So you're kind of an introvert.
Yeah, I'd say.
You're not like crazy introverted, but a little bit.
Yeah, probably.
You enjoy your alone time.
Mm-hmm.
Bella.
COVID hit, and I was I've never even knew that I could get like in that mindset, even though I was young. Like I just hated it so much, and I love being around people. Like I always look forward to it and everything. And I used to hate before I could like hang out with friends and stuff. I used to hate summer, but now that I actually hang out with people and everything, I love it. It's like my favorite thing. So I'd say I'm extroverted. But then if I'm around them 24/7, like the mission trip, I'd say I need alone time. But I still loved it so much, and I wanted to go back as soon as I got home.
Yeah.
So I'm more extroverted.
Yeah. I was going to tell you guys, and I'm so glad you didn't. It's just random. Y'all didn't wear green. I was going to say, do not wear green. Because we're, by the way, this behind us, it's not a real background. That's a green screen. It just looks really good. But if you,
it actually does look good.
It does. It looks really nice. But if you'd have wore green, that background would have been on you.
Yeah.
You would have been purple and blue brick shining with little lights on.
Yeah, you just have your arms. And
that's
your
it. That's it. I've tried that out, and it's actually really weird. But
yeah, I know. When Caleb got a green screen, he wanted to test it out. I was wearing a green shirt. He thought it would be cool, and so I tried it.
I had a green screen.
Like my body was just gone. It's weird.
What does he do with his green screen? I didn't know he had
Top
one.
Zone Sports, right?
No, he just made videos for our family before, and he made like some Rocket League video, and he wanted.
Okay.
So
it's like an online gaming and family videos.
No, I think he did do Top Zone Sports with them, maybe.
Yeah, like when him and Caden did the announcements and stuff like that.
Yeah, he did it with, with like some of the stereotype.
Okay, all right. So my next question: what's your biggest pet peeve? I got 3 of them that all tie for number 1. But Bella, you go ahead.
So my number 1 biggest pet peeve is, okay, I have 2 that I'll go over. So my first one is when people get onto other people for smacking whenever they're just chewing. There's a difference between smacking and chewing. Smacking is when you open your mouth. Chewing is when you just have your mouth closed, like a normal person.
Yes.
But everybody chews, and I promise you that the person that is telling you that you're smacking, in quotation marks, they chew louder than you do. So that's my number 1 pet peeve right there. And then my second one is when people ask too many questions. Not like that, but like
I know.
if they give you instructions.
You're asking questions right now.
If they give you instructions, just do it. Don't ask questions about it.
You're talking about like projects.
Yes.
When somebody gives you a project, you get in a team of 5.
The teacher just went over it. Don't ask questions. Just do it. And then once it's over, if you still have questions, ask them.
You're like on fire right now.
That's it.
Okay. A passionate pet peeve.
There you
go.
go.
Ahead, Reagan.
Reagan, passing it to you.
Okay.
You don't seem as passionate and ready on that one.
No.
So what really grinds your gears? If one thing that you cannot stand?
There's one, I can think of something. Like I have this big Lego collection at my house, and like my little brother, Ethan, he likes coming in, and like I have all those Mario sets, and he likes playing with those. And sometimes when he's done, he like everything's messed up and everywhere.
I hate
Yes.
that.
And I have to put it all back together.
Yes. He can't help himself.
Not all the time, but sometimes that does happen. And it's just when like Legos just fall apart after you've worked really hard on making them. It's just.
If Bella did that, I could see him definitely. 'Cause
He
tries,
does that all the time.
Yeah, he destroys. That's just what he does. That's what little
And
brothers
I don't
do.
even have anything to destroy, and he still destroys.
No,
Gotta find something.
That's it. So, what's your favorite subjects in school? Subject 1, your favorite.
Oh, science.
Okay.
Mine's English, but like whenever literature section, not the grammar. I hate grammar.
I'm with Bella on that. That's my favorite too. But I like science. My least
I
favorite?
hate science.
Math.
That's like everyone's least favorite.
Except Caden. He loves math. He told me that's his favorite. So, that's the 1 in 1,000. He
hate,
did tell me that.
Yeah, like, he's the one in a million
But he's,
people on the
I
earth.
mean, my brother, he's good at math. That's what he likes. I mean, some people, I think you're neither an English person or a math person. You either, and every now and then you get both. But most people say, I love reading and writing, and I'm good at retaining and comprehending what I read. And then
Yeah,
the other
I really
person,
like him. I like English.
the other person
Like
is,
that.
I love math. I love figures. I love math. The math don't lie. Like they love the way it's structured, and they don't really care so much for reading and all that stuff. So you have one or the other. With me, I'm more of the reading. I love to read into things, and that's just me. Like the Bible, when I'm reading the Bible, I'll have a question, 10 questions about one thing, and then I get to dig into it, and I enjoy that. Some people will just go, oh. It's
So
just
like
a
you were
chore.
saying, like on Sunday, you were saying with the Logos app where you like have all this different stuff about one verse.
Yes, absolutely. So, but yeah, that's just me. And both of you, I like science. I've always loved science. I mean,
I like science.
history.
Science is, I don't know, I just think it's fun to learn and like just not fun to see how it's like
Yeah.
how science points towards God. People
Yes.
say it doesn't, but it definitely does.
Name one way.
Okay, like the moon, it moves 2 inches away from the Earth every year, and it would have been touching the Earth like 1 or 2 million years ago. So the Earth can't be 13 billion years old.
Right. And people that actually believe in God, they believe in the Bible, they believe in Scripture, that it's infallible. You'll have, it's called, it's a early Earth theorist or whatever. It's an early Earth believer is like the Earth is 6,000 years old, a young Earth. And then you have like, well, scientists say billions and billions and trillions of years old and things like that. And I tend to believe in the 6,000 years.
Yes, if you look at all the genealogy and stuff in the Bible,
because
it's just over 6,000 years old.
When they look at carbon dating, how they found flaws in it and things like that. And okay, let's say you're a Christian, you truly believe what the Bible says is true, then you believe that Adam was created as a man, right? He wasn't created as a baby. He wasn't created as a toddler or a kid or a teenager. He was a man when he was created.
I read.
So who's to say that God didn't create the world dated already with that date in it? You see what I'm saying? Not brand new,
Yeah,
but like
I see what you're saying, but still.
I've heard that theory, and I thought it was interesting, is to say that it's already packed into the equation, where it's already has that age to it. Like the man's already has the age, the earth has that age in it already. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's just something to think about. It's neat. Wow, that was one weird question. What were you going to say, Bella?
I don't remember. Oh, there's this one thing. There's some people who think that were other people created besides Adam, and then there's other people who believe that just Adam was created. But in the Bible, it says I don't know where I'm at, because in the Bible it says something about Cain and Abel something about them. It's in Genesis about them having slaves or something, and I don't know, something about other people, and I'm like,
well, there's ways they get around. I've looked into that, and if God had created someone other than Adam or after Adam, it would have been in there. And the way they talked about it was the genealogy of Adam, and how that would have worked is it would have been because Adam had more sons and daughters after Cain and Abel, and back then they would have married their cousins, nieces, nephews.
Yeah, like I think like
had to.
So they would have met them eventually, and
Yeah.
that later in life, and it's not within the next day. It's decades later, maybe hundreds of years later. 'Cause they lived till it was 900 years old, so they'd eventually ran into somebody, and that could have been those people.
Yeah, like wasn't Seth one of their kids?
Yes,
Yeah, Seth was like,
he was the third one, I believe.
yeah, like what she's saying, like they had slaves or something. God could have just created them like he did with Adam and Eve, and like with Seth, he just went out in the wilderness and he found a wife, is what the Bible says.
See,
And God sent him out in the wilderness to find a wife.
that's one thing I'd like to. We'll do a study on that, because everybody has the opinions on it and how they feel about it, and I think it'd be neat to really dive deep
And there's
into
just
that.
so many ways you can interpret different things.
We're gonna talk about stuff about what you guys would like to do as far as Wednesday night series and studies and things like that you would like to do. So we'll get into that. So that actually is going to lead into some of the stuff.
Yeah,
we're
Jared
gonna
said
talk
that. I
about.
said that if it was like Aubrey in here, she'd say Lot's wife so fast.
Yeah, we've already done that one though. We really did. I did it for her. She's the one that asked me to do that, and we talked about Sodom and Gomorrah and Lot's wife and kind of the resemblance about her looking back. Anyways, that's totally different. I'm not getting into that. We'll be talking for 30 minutes.
We already have been.
What do you think this world will look like in 50 years?
Terrible.
All right, think about,
Oh,
all right,
horrible.
let me give you mine. 38 years old right here. When I was born, all we had was a TV and a telephone that was on a cord, and you had a few people in home that had a cordless phone. The internet wasn't really a thing. I was born in 1985. The internet hadn't even really, wasn't even, the www, the website hadn't even been created yet. Emails, nothing. So since I've been born to now, look at everything we have. It's amazing. If you'd have told me that I could watch a movie on a screen that big, a movie, thousands of movies, thousands of songs. I remember when the first flip phone came out, we thought it was a huge thing that you could have a telephone with you. It was amazing. And look where we're at now, and I'm only 38. So we still got, what, 22 more years to go before I hit 50? So what do you think it will look like in 50 years from right now?
Well, like if you see like Apple announce their like Apple Vision Pro stuff, it's gonna be like just glasses or contacts that like you can do.
Well, you've
stuff
seen
like
the
that.
new AT&T football helmet they've made for deaf people, haven't you?
No, I haven't.
It's a helmet they put on. It's got a thing right here. So the coach, they put the plays in. He can see the play right here, but it's clear. It's transparent.
Yeah, they have stuff like that.
And it's neat. But I'm thinking they'll have way more advanced.
Like they'll just have like regular glasses where it all fits in the side,
right.
and they'll have like contacts probably at some point.
See, people think it's crazy, but
It's gonna
is it
happen.
really?
It
I
might
don't
happen.
think so. I don't know.
Call me old school, but I don't think there's any good that could come out of AI or anything. Cause
They
somebody
use
I
AI
know,
to do good stuff already. But
somebody I
it'll be
know
bad.
uses AI to write all of their stuff. Not a student, it's an adult, and I'm just like, you're supposed to use your brain for some stuff. Like you shouldn't rely on technology that much, you know?
Yeah,
like
it's a
it can
crutch.
be
Yeah,
to where, because I'm at the point, I remember in 4th grade I could do long division like that, and now I have to use a calculator to divide 24 by 8. Like I cannot do anything anymore. It's because they gave me a calculator. I have my phone, I can use
Your brain
PhotoMath.
doesn't have to use it.
I don't have to use anything, and I just don't think there's any good that can come out of robots or anything like that.
You know what you're talking about right now. It makes me think of a conversation I had 2 weeks ago with 3 people, and I'm not going to tell you the or anything like that, but it makes me think of this. When I was a kid, we're going back to the phones, the rotary phones, old school dial-up phones. We didn't have cell phones with contact lists. You know, we had the old school.
you'd have to remember.
But
that.
I remember as a kid, I just memorized it. I had 10 phone numbers I had memorized.
Yeah.
To this day, I still know them. I know Dusty's old phone number. I know my parents' old phone number. I know a lot of people's phone numbers, and I got your cell phone memorized, Amanda's in case I need to call them. But everybody else, the whole 100 or 150 contacts I have, I don't know what their phone numbers are. But that leads me into this, what we were talking about at that table, with Bible scripture memorization. Like, I know you do the Bible where you go and you memorize scripture and you do competitions with it and things like that. But for me, I didn't do that growing up. But my mom, thank goodness, she had me memorizing scriptures and things like that. But there's things like Logos now. There's things on where I got the cell phone where I can, man, what was that verse that talked about? And I can just Google it really quick. But back before you had that, you had to know it. You know what I mean? Like you could just cite it right then. You knew where it was at. And it's like a crutch. The cell phone's kind of like that calculator. It's that crutch where, where's that at where, I'm just trying to think of anything where Ananias and Sapphira, where's that at? I know it's the book of Acts, but say I couldn't remember that. And I'd look it up and boom, there it is, and this is the situation. Instead of me actually having to get out a physical Bible, look around, and you know how painstaking that would be for me to find something I didn't really know. And by the time I found it, you know that I would remember it. You know what I mean? Because it's how I memorized it. It was that long way of doing it. It's like when you have to write something out all the way instead of word to text.
Yeah, like you're saying stuff like that. Have you seen the Case for Christ book and stuff like that?
Yeah, Lee Strobel, right?
Yeah, I've been for school. I've been reading that and like Bible reliability and stuff. And speaking of and talking about like they didn't have like the internet back then. They relied heavily on memory. So even if that's written 30 years later, it's still very reliable.
Yeah, that's it, and it's the crutches. She's talking about how just in 6 years you went from long division in your head to you're older now. You're actually a lot smarter than you were, and you can't do it as fast.
And I can't in class. I zone out easier. I don't know what I mean. Like it's just harder now than it was whenever I was little. I used to be able to learn so much easier.
When you were little, though, you didn't have, and even me at your age, even in high school, you guys have so much to memorize, have to learn, and you have social media, you have text, your phone's in your hand 24/7, so your mind never has a chance to just shut down and check out for a little bit, because when you're on your off time, what are you doing?
All I do when I have off time, all I'm doing is thinking about what I should be doing. And I know it's like dumb, but I just think about all the stuff that I could be doing that would be more productive, even though I don't even have to do it. I just constantly am thinking, and so I don't see how in 50 years it's gonna get a lot worse.
It's gonna be
Crazy.
It's like this. It's, to me, the modern day equivalent of electricity is a cell phone. I learned this because I just lost my cell phone yesterday, and I found it again. But when you lose your cell phone, you feel like you don't know what to do with yourself because all my stuff's in it. All the notes I've taken, from memorizing, just
You
my.
kind of need it. It just has.
It's that electricity. People that had kerosene lamps back in the early 1900s and before, they didn't need electricity. It was just a commodity. It was something that was cool to have, and now we rely on it. You see what I'm saying?
And
We have to have
all
it.
of your stuff is in it.
That's the cell phone. That's the modern equivalent to electricity. If that's the new electricity, that's, you kind of got to have it in today's world, especially with what we do to communicate with people, even to transactions, buying stuff. You have to have some source of online communication. Or what do you got to do? You got to get up and you got to go to the store and buy it where it's twice as much. Whereas I can go online and get on Amazon for twice as cheap. See what I'm saying? And I got to use the gas money and the time to get there. Anyways, let's one more question. Then we're actually going to get into the youth stuff. All right. So I'll give you two questions. You can pick which one you want to answer. Do you want to answer this one? What's your favorite color and what does it say about you? Or do you want to answer this one? What are 3 movies you'd recommend to other people watching? Which question? The 3 movies? All right.
Well, Reagan can choose what.
Let's just do one movie so we can just take time down. Unless you can spit them out really quick. And go. What would you recommend? Favorite movie and go. Of all. Best one you'd recommend. Bella, do you know off the top of your head?
Yeah, there's a really good, My Girl is a good movie, and you can watch it with your kids, and it made me cry so hard. I can't watch it because it made me cry, but I like to go.
Which one is that?
My Girl,
where the girl gets stung by the bees? Macaulay Culkin?
Yeah,
I remember
or
that.
The Good Son with Macaulay
Yeah,
Culkin.
see, that's one of mine.
Like, A Beautiful Mind. Have you seen
that.
A Beautiful Mind?
No.
I love that movie.
So what happened was we had to stop just for a second because we had a little bit of an audio issue, but it's fixed now, and we have it back and going. So the last thing we were talking about was movies, and you were talking about A Beautiful Life.
A Beautiful Mind.
Beautiful Mind, that's it. So do you remember what you were saying about it or where we were?
I was just saying it was a really good movie. Like, it got my mind bended at the end. Like, it has a big plot twist.
Big what? I've never seen it.
Well, so I can't say it if people.
You don't want to. That's true. You don't know how many people are. I was just watching it. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, like someone's watching. I'm only halfway through.
Yeah, it's really good
I
though.
don't know how someone's going to watch a movie and listen to a podcast at the same time. But
no, like they got halfway through, and then they had to stop, and then they watch this, and they're like,
right now they're thinking, thank you, Reagan, for stopping that. So
wait, me?
Yeah, didn't you stop this mess, or was it Bella?
It was you.
Oh, okay. I don't even listen to myself.
It was you.
Was it you or was it Bella?
So, one more question, then we'll move on.
What about me? I didn't answer the movie.
I thought you did.
You said this was our last question.
Yeah. All right, go ahead.
Yeah. Can it be a show?
Yeah, it can be an episode.
Or a whole show. Like
it's
the
two,
show
it's
itself. It's 2 seasons.
Okay, that's fine.
Like the Loki show on Disney Plus.
Okay, yeah.
It ends really well. Like my dad said this before I finished it, and I agree. Loki's whole story is better than Tony Stark's.
Really?
In the MCU, yes.
See, I like Tony Stark. This one my favorite.
Have you seen the Loki series?
Uh-uh.
They just finished. They just came out with the last episode of season 2 on Thursday.
Really?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Well, now I know what to watch. How many episodes are there?
There's 6 in season 1 and 6 in season 2.
How long is each episode?
Like 40 minutes, except the last episode in season 2. That one's an hour.
That's good. I like those. I don't like those quick 20, 30 minutes. I like at least 45 minutes to an hour. That's why I like
That's what Disney Plus shows normally are. That's
good. That's really good. All right, so we're going to change gears. Here we go. We're going to try and get this in the next 30 minutes so we don't time out on the recording.
Hey, you said that we had to stop to fix the audio, not that it timed out.
Well, we don't know if it's going to time out in 30 minutes because of the camera. You know what I'm saying? So, but I think we'll be done. We don't really have an option because we got to be out of here in 30 minutes to go to some ball games. So it'll be okay. We'll get this in there. So I'm going to change gears, and we're going to talk about the past 2 years as a youth group. This all started in mid-October 2021 when I did my first lesson with you guys, and since then we've had some great moments. We have some. It's just been a little bit of ups and downs, but I think it's been good overall. What's some of the things that stood out, and if like one thing that sticks out in your mind in the last 2 years as being a member in our youth group? What would one of those things be?
Church camp.
Church camp. So
Yes.
see, we've been to two, but you only went to one. You was at the last one.
I was at the last
What
one,
sticks out in your
and
mind?
It was the last night of church camp. And I mean, everybody would, of course, we'd all cry every night, but it was different on the last night. Everybody, even the boys, like, I didn't see one single person not
Why?
crying.
Why do you think they were that way?
It was just emotional, like, God really moved. And I liked it because our whole youth group, everybody was saying bye to the friends that they just made, but our whole youth group, we found each other. And we all stayed in the same group. And we were all split apart, but we all ended up finding each other, and we were hugging each other and praying for each other, and it was just really, it brought us a lot closer.
Hey, put that mic just a little bit close to your face when you're talking.
It brought us a lot closer.
You watching the sound to make sure it's working?
I was. So you think it was real? It wasn't just because 4 days later everybody's super tired,
And
wore
I
out, and
think-
emotional. You think it was real?
Yeah, I know it was real, and I think, like, that just happens on a normal Wednesday night here. Like,
Oh yeah, I agree. That's how I
the
know.
Spirit really moves a lot of the times whenever we have church service.
That's how I know is because some adults will say, "Oh, they're just kids. They're tired. They're exhausted.
They're dramatic.
They're dramatic. They've been up for 4 days straight, and they've been around a good vibe the whole time, and now they're all about to leave each other, and they're all sad, and they're all happy and excited and sad, and all these emotions are happening. They don't see what I see after it's over. After it's over, I get to see it the change, and I get to see you on Sundays and Wednesdays, and on Wednesday nights, like last Wednesday night when we got done with the lesson, and there's one side of the altar's got 7, 8 guys from anywhere from 7th grade up to 11th grade up on the altar praying for each other, and the girls are over here. And so that's not just a youth camp thing. A lot of people will say that, but it's not with us. And I know that because I see it on a random Wednesday night that's not in the summertime with 600 people with music hyping them up. It's still happening here in a normal, quote-unquote situation.
And we see each other every day, so it's not like we're saying goodbye forever. That's why
Yes.
we're emotional.
Yes. What's with you, Reagan? What's one thing out of 2 years, what sticks out in your mind the most out of everything that we've done, everything you've seen, been through? And it could be a great thing. I don't really want to talk about bad stuff, so let's try and keep it unencouraging.
Yeah, something good, like she's saying the last night of youth camp, like Bo surrendering to the ministry.
Yeah, that's one thing that sticks out in my mind. I mean, you may tell you one of mine's talking about Bo. One thing that sticks out in my mind was
I feel like we've been talking about Bo quite a bit.
not really, just this is the third time.
Yeah.
But when we went to the Fields of Faith, that sticks out in my mind because
I
to
didn't
watch.
I didn't go to Fields of Faith.
Well, it's on Facebook. I can show it to you what
Yeah,
he did.
Bo talking in front of 4,000 people.
Yes, that's to watch that growth and to say I surrender the ministry. I surrender. I want to do these things, and then to see if you really want to do it. This will kind of test that. It's kind of like when I felt like I surrendered the ministry, like I should be I don't know what I want to do. I don't know what part of the ministry. And it's, well, you're called to the youth right now, and you might preach on Sunday morning sometimes, help Josh out. And that, to me, was like my moment. If you're meant to do this, you're going to do it. And if not, you'll get scared and you'll back out. And I know God's called me to it because he keeps me calm during it. And that's what happened with Bo and us 4,000 plus people. But when we were down the field before he went up there, he said, "It's weird, I'm calm." And I said, "Man, that's because God's with us. That's how you know you're called. That's how you know that what you did back at youth camp wasn't just a big goofy juice brain and highly excited moment. Like, it's the real deal. Because when you have that many people watching you, God's the only one that's going to actually get you up there and talk. You know what I mean? Because not very many people are naturally inclined to want to talk to that many people. You know what I mean? And
most people would just get scared and not do it.
That's it. That's exactly it. And he's not special in that way. It's God has called him to do it in that way. See what I'm saying? It's like me. I'm not special in that way. But when I was up there with him, I wasn't nervous either. I really wasn't. I was excited. And that's not normal for me because if you had told me 3 years ago I'd have been in front of that many people, it terrified me and I'd have shut down. But instead, it's exciting, and then to see even and you guys to watch y'all grow and to mature and start asking questions that adults ask about Bible study questions. You know what I mean? It's not like who was Adam's two children. It's not those kind of questions. It's real, truly deep theological questions that I have to think about, or I might not know the answer to, and I got wait a minute, and I'll go back and I'll have to get back with some of y'all on some of those questions, and it's neat. So we good. That answer those questions. So let's go to the next one. What's your favorite? And you can answer one of these three. What's your favorite scripture in the Bible, or it could be a book of the Bible, or it could be a person in the Bible. Like one of your favorites. Like what you could say, who's your favorite person, or what's your favorite book, or what's your favorite passage, or something like that.
I think favorite person is most people that's Christian would be Jesus.
Okay. Oh, and I knew that was coming. Outside of God.
My favorite person.
Outside of God, like a flawed human being.
Who?
Which is everyone in the Bible outside of God. Who would it be?
My favorite person is Paul.
Why?
Because he was Saul, right? He killed the Christians.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He killed the Christians and God still used, he didn't even, a lot of the times whenever you're a Christian and you say you believe, I don't know, you feel like God isn't using you or something, and you still don't go out and teach the Bible and stuff like that. But Paul, he was the furthest thing from a believer to where he actually killed Christians, and then God just turned him like that, and it was crazy.
Literally.
And after that, it was just
Then he was all sold out
it
for
just shows
Christ.
how you need to be once you're saved. You can't get saved and then not go and proclaim the gospel and all this stuff. It just shows as soon as it happens, you need to start and go out and start your journey and everything.
Yeah, he went from persecuting Christians and like that when Christ got a hold of him, and he knew that Jesus was the Messiah in that moment. And then he goes and he has his eyes where he can get his sight back. And the moment he can actually go and do things again, he's sold out for Christ. It's do or die. Either I'm going to die doing it or I'm going to do it. It's one or the other. And they tried to kill him several times. He got stoned. So yeah, that's it. There's two extremes there. Went from extremely opposed to Jesus to extremely dedicated. So that's why he's your favorite.
Yeah. It's
Okay.
just it just shows how you need to start.
Out of his books that he wrote, which one's your favorite?
I don't know what he wrote, honestly. I'm studying. This is my first time ever actually getting into studying the Bible. I went through Acts and I'm in 1 Corinthians right now.
So
he
wrote.
goes from.
You can pick from Romans, 1st, 2nd Corinthians,
I think he went from
Ephesians, Galatians.
Romans to Philemon, I think, are his.
Yeah. And 1st, 2nd
I
Timothy.
really I've always liked Romans.
Yeah, I know. You always ask me a lot of questions, and you ask me crazy questions. You sent me a text before I went to sleep one night as a question. I don't remember what it was, but it was to do with Romans. And it was so deep, I said, Belle, there's no way I can text you that answer in one sentence.
I have another
There's
question.
no way. And I don't remember what that is.
Because I'm doing this go through the Bible in a year thing, and I'm in Exodus. So it's talking about Moses and the famine, or what is it called? Whatever,
Plagues.
Plagues. And it says, but the Lord hardened
Pharaoh's
heart.
Yeah.
Why does it say
A lot of people go through that. And some people say that about Judas. It's like the Judas concept of, if you know what I mean? Why did he harden his heart instead of soften his heart and make him want to do it?
Mm-hmm.
Because God knows with free will where we're, and this is my opinion, I could be completely wrong, I don't know. I mean, I'm not the end all be all in this answer, but it's kind of like Judas. He had every opportunity, and God knowing someone's heart, knowing he's not going to change his mind. It's not going to happen, so I'm just going to harden it so that it just kind of seals the deal. Instead of pushing this thing down the road, instead of doing this the whole time, I'm just going to harden it, and it's God's perfect timing. It's like when Jesus came in the fullness of time. God's timing is perfect. So if he hardened Pharaoh's heart, it was for a reason in that moment, in that time. And at the end of it, it's God's sovereign, and who are we to question him? So, but I agree. I don't quite understand that to the fullness of it. I got questions that are pretty deep about it, but I'm sure it's a simple answer that we just would reject, because it's kind of like your parent, because I said so. We don't understand all the reason behind it, but there's a very good reason that God would do it, and I don't really know what that is, but I have my thoughts about it. But who knows? What do you think, Reagan?
favorite scripture or passage or person. I like the book of Revelation. I just think it's a very interesting book about the end times.
You went straight deep, man. Let's go Revelation. All right.
I don't know. I just think it's a very interesting book about
it
the
is.
end times.
It is. We did that Revelation series from the spring to the end of the summer with your dad doing sermons. I learned a lot just from preaching that one Sunday on Revelations, just how it's something that when people are listening in congregations to, some people will, that's not right. And then some people will believe it because they'll believe your way of understanding what that passage means in Revelations. And it's like Josh would say before he would get up and preach on Revelations, he said, I could be completely wrong about this, when he would go through and talk about all these figurative things like the lamps and things like that. It's just, it's like the end of Daniel. The end of the book of Daniel is kind of like that end times prophecy stuff. And we might be completely wrong about some things, but there are certain things that are for sure in there when it's talking about Jesus and things like that. But then when it gets into the actual prophecy or the actual end times part of it, it's interpretation. Which one do you think is right? And I think at the end of the day, you can just listen to the best people and scholars on it and just kind of see where God places your heart. So, but yeah, Revelation. That's crazy. What's my favorite book? What would you think my favorite book would be in the Bible?
Daniel.
That's close. That's a close two. That's a close number two.
Then David. Or James or John.
David. Not a David.
I didn't know.
First and Second Samuel, there's David and notice.
Yeah.
What?
James or John.
James. That's my favorite book in the Bible.
That's what we're going through right now.
That's what we're going. Yep, sure is. And I'll pull from that book in almost everything I do, even if it's only one passage out of James. I'll do it in an hour's long sermon, but I'll always find something in James that applies to almost anything in Scripture. I don't know why. I just love that book. Short, but it's very to the point. So moving on to the next question. What do you want if you could pick a series for a Wednesday night? What would it be on? We were talking about that earlier.
I don't know.
Would it be a topic? It could be you could do a topic on something, or it could be a book of the Bible.
I like, you know how where you always teach us how we go over apologetics.
Yeah.
Well,
okay.
You never taught us how to handle it, because sometimes, like, your emotions get the best of you when you're arguing about what you believe in and stuff, and those emotions shouldn't be how they are.
Yeah.
Like, you need to have a calm heart whenever you talk about it and things like that, and you don't need to get hot-headed or anything.
Yeah.
Or say that you're like, well, mine's right because it's right, or like, if you don't be quiet, I'm gonna come over that table and slap you or something like that. And it's not good to talk. If you've been in those situations, it's not good to talk about it like that, like how you felt angry or something. I don't think that's good to talk about how you actually felt like that. I think you should just teach us how to be calm and control our emotions, because that's the thing that teenagers need to know in general, is just how to calm their emotions.
We did talk about that in that, which I don't know if you were there, in one of those apologetics lessons we did. I was talking about doing so in love. Like, that's after that main verse, and I hammered on that, because I tell you, it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
I think we just need to
That's a big part of it.
Maybe not just over apologetics, but just how to control our emotions in general.
Yeah, and even adults, I've watched debates, and I've watched it get heated, and the guy gets up on the table and he says, if God is real, drink this. And what was it? It was antifreeze. He said, drink this antifreeze, and he put it on the table. There's a verse in there supposedly, and it's not talking about antifreeze, but it's talking about how you'll do certain things, and he's pretty much calling him out, and he's like, God will protect you. You won't get hurt. And then he's like, so you're saying you can't? Then God's not real. And then they started arguing. He started showing scripture. He's like, man, your whole way of viewing this is so wrong. And then they started trying to explain it to him. And this is over an hour's time. By this time, this guy's so hyped up. He's angry. He's like visually like shaking. And they ended up taking him out. And it was 3 against 3 against. It's not even against. It's supposed to be a casual little debate over the existence of God. Mm-hmm. And you had an atheist over here and Christians over here. And all the Christians were different denominations, which was cool. But they all agreed on the same thing, that God exists. and the atheist did. Well, the other two atheist guys were actually pretty cool and calm and collected. And that dude, he just let his emotions get him. One of the guys over here on the Christian side, you could tell he was starting to get mad, and he started kind of letting it go through. And the older guy would just sit there and just kind of, give him the little, hey, chill out, give him a little look, and it kept him down. But the guy over there didn't have anybody reining him back, and he got emotional, and that happens. Why does God, talking about the existence of God, make people mad? The ones that truly don't believe in him, if he doesn't exist, why do they get so angry about it? It'd be like me getting angry because you told me that this table is purple, right? If you told me it's purple, and I know it's not, you know what I'm saying? I know it's gray. For a fact, I know it's gray. I'm looking at it. But you try to convince me, I'm not going to get mad at you. I'm not going to try to fight you over it. I'm not going to get vehemently going to take you to the streets on a stake, you know what I mean? But they will over God. But if it's not true, it doesn't exist, it's not even a thing, why get that angry over it? Why do you think? Why do you think people get mad, that angry about it?
They don't have anything else to say.
Because you think deep down inside, they struggle with it themselves, and if God is right, then everything I'm doing is wrong, and I can't do what I want to do. I can't sin how I want to sin.
They just don't want to admit it so they can live how they want to live.
Right. And it offends them. It offends their way of living because it tells them how to live and what you're supposed to do. And when it goes against what they do, no way, Jose. I'm going to live how I want to live. And then there are people that are truly curious. Like I don't know if God's real or not. Like they're open to it, but they don't know. Like that, I can see that side more so than I could see somebody that's totally against it. It's you can see it in their demeanor. They are dead set opposed to God. That's opposed. That's a true atheist. But anyways, thoughts. All right, we'll move on to the next one. All right, so what? We'll talk about the mission trip, and we'll do this quickly. So the Colorado mission trip, did it have an impact on you that's lasted through until now?
Yes.
What?
Reagan definitely has one.
What? Well, in a good light. Bella, we'll start with you. Ladies go first.
No, let Reagan go first. I went first this whole time.
Okay, Reagan. Yeah. Ladies go first. Go ahead, Reagan. I'm kidding. Go
Why don't you go first?
I got a beard, so.
Some ladies have beards.
All right, we're trying to make this a nice show. Okay, go ahead. Tell me a good impact that the Colorado mission trip had on you, if it did. Did you? Was there a good impact? Did you take something from that you can use moving forward that is a positive thing in ministry? And if so, what is it?
Like,
or something that stuck out, like really sticks in your brain that you can think back on.
Well, what I can think about.
But before that, what good happened to cause that?
Cause it?
Are you talking? Oh, you're talking about the midweek. I was talking about the end week. You're talking about the middle.
He's talking about
Yeah, I'm saying
seizure
that's what I think
and
about when I
hospital.
think about that.
You think of yeah.
Do you think about having a seizure or the other thing?
Like whenever the mission trip comes to mind, that's like the first thing that comes to mind about it.
Having a seizure?
Yeah, because that happened, didn't it?
Yeah. But do you think anything came about that, like may have been good come from it, or no good at all? Did you see anything out of that you're like, okay, well?
Well, like you got to go with one of the other groups.
Yeah.
Because Jake's mom, Jake's sister has diabetes too, and so she came to the hospital too.
Yeah.
And so you got to go with her group and meet some other people and talk to them about Christ.
Yeah, I did. I would have stayed back with my group, but because like you said, Jennifer, she went and helped Reagan at the emergency room, which is awesome that she was there and knows kind of that situation and what to do. I ended up taking her place, and we went and I talked to a guy there. And at lunch, we were supposed to we were supposed to go to the baseball field next. And the guy that we stayed back with, I told Angela and the rest of our guys, I said, I'm going to stay with him. Because I knew the stuff he was working on, I did it in the mills and stuff I'd worked at. Like there was a sweeper that does these big rooms that polishes the floors. And you ride it, and you've seen pictures of it with me on it. And I rode those for countless hours at the paper mill. And so I knew, I was like, man, I can do this for you. You want me to do this? And he's like, man, that would help me out so much. My day would be over so much faster. I've been talking to him for 2 hours about Jesus and church and his family and what that looks like. And so I did that, and he went and did his thing. So I was by myself. And I wasn't ministering to him for that 2 hours I was on it, because I did it for a while until it was all done. It looked great. He came in there, but the look on his face, he knew that while we were there, he knew we were there to get people to come to church and to talk to him about Jesus and things like that. And for him to see it, somebody actually help him with something that he was able to do something with his daughters that day that he wouldn't have time for otherwise. He was so thankful. And he ended up telling me that because his parents went to the church that we were staying at. Yeah. And so he was talking about how he was going to start going back to that church, and he was going to talk to his parents. He was going to go on Sunday. And he asked me if I was going to be there on Sunday. And I told him we're leaving on Friday. So, and that made me feel bad. But I said, but don't not go because I'm not there, because I'm not going to be there. Even next week I'll be gone. So you need to go. And anyways, he really made a commitment to go. And so out of that was a bad situation initially. It was.
God uses bad things for good.
That's right. I truly believe that he didn't want that to happen. We live in a messed up world. It's a sinful, it's a fallen world, and nothing's perfect, but God can create great opportunity out of bad things. It's just, do we take it or do we just sit down?
And bad things were trying to happen all week.
Yeah, all week.
Like
It was dead set against
us. When me, Aubrey, Aslenny, Mom, Miss Jennifer, Lynette, we all got locked out of the church that we had all of our stuff in. Like, that was pretty bad.
And you stayed at the hotel that night.
And it was like almost 1 o'clock in the morning by the time we got. It was 1 o'clock, past 1 in the morning.
Counter that with something good.
Yeah, but throughout all of it, it was just good. And I like being, I feel like our youth group really showed the other one how to, what it truly meant to live.
We were there with two groups. It was us and another group. There was a group of 50.
They were a lot bigger than us.
They had a lot more. We had a group of 13 students and 6 adults. They had 30 students and 15, 20 adults. They had a lot of people there.
Yeah, but it was just, I got closer to everybody that went on the mission trip, I feel like a lot closer. And I loved helping, even though it was just pulling weeds and stuff like that. I actually enjoyed it. And I really enjoyed getting to see the kids. Yeah,
we went to what was that place called? Either way, it was a place where orphaned kids or kids whose parents were in jail and they didn't have anywhere to go, they stayed at this place. And they were there all the time. And when we came in, their eyes lit up. And y'all did great with them. Fantastic. Y'all did a fantastic job. And it just made me realize how much I liked helping people. Yeah, that was good. What sticks out with me was the last night of it. Not at the very end, but there at the end when I think it was 13 of them got saved.
I think it was 17.
And Caleb.
17 and Caleb. Try not to say too many people's names because a lot of people will be watching this. So it's fine though, but they don't know the last name, so it's fine. All right, that's fine.
I thought you was about to say his last name.
No, I was like, no, I'm not saying last names. But yeah, that was a great night watching all those people come to Christ, and then we left. We left on a high note. So, but yeah, in that mission trip, we talked about what sticks and the impacts, and so moving forward, what would you guys like to see as a whole, as a youth group? What would you like to see? Would you like to see something different? What would you like to say the same?
I would like to help more, because when we went on that one, we went and played game. They set up games for us to go and do, and I didn't it's a mission trip. We're not there to play.
What it was a youth-centered organization, so they're doing what youth likes to do, but our group's a little bit different. We go in with a work attitude. Honestly,
we can go without games.
Huh?
We can go without games.
I know.
And I would like to I don't know.
That shows in our Wednesday nights too, because I used to do a game once a month, and it just 90% of y'all are we want to do a serious lesson. So y'all aren't normal. most youth groups, they'd rather play games 75% of the time,
it's
but
not
y'all are not
geared
that way.
Serve, not
right. And that's good. That's good. That's great.
And I want to be able to tell people about God. We weren't really around people. Mm-hmm. We were picking weeds, and I could tell the kids about God and ask them if they believe, but a lot of them, there's children and they're innocent, so they do believe. Yeah. And I'd rather, I love the kids though. I want to see kids again.
Okay. Anything you'd like to change or stay the same?
I don't know. I think y'all just covered it really well.
It's a very broad thing. If I could change something, it would be, because we went through an agency this time, it'd be more, we'd do more of our own thing instead of.
Like you're saying, like what you're planning on doing next year for the mission.
Yeah, like what you'd like to see the different or stay the same or stuff like that. And Bill was saying help more or less games, like don't do the stuff at the end of the day, let's do something like, and I like that because you could invite the town to come in and we'll do something, and I could, or one of the pastors preach and throw something for the town that night instead of us going out and playing that night.
Yeah, we could have done something.
Oh yeah, I know, you know me, that's how I love that stuff, not playing, but let's throw something for the town at church, like that's me. And they were getting us going out playing kickball, which is cool and all that, but that's not why we're there. We can do that here every day of the week.
Yeah, anyways.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. So is that, you're with that too?
Yeah.
Same thing? Okay. So we're going to wrap it with this last question. This doesn't do the mission trip. This is to do with the youth group in general as a whole. 2 years from now, most of those her grade, the 10th graders are going to be graduating. And you're what, 2 grades behind them?
Yeah.
So you're not far behind them. So within the next 2 to 4 years, before you guys get out, what would you want that to look like? All right, so we're back. It just had another glitch. We're going to have to get that figured out, that situation, because every 30 minutes our video is cutting off. And I can't believe it's going this long, but it's great. It's been good stuff. Reagan, you were talking about, what were we just talking about before you got up and had to do that?
We were talking about like youth-led.
Oh yeah. That's like even once a month. That's what, when you guys get out, every Wednesday night, the last Wednesday night of the month, or the first, or the middle, it doesn't matter. One Wednesday night out of the month, where I do nothing but soundboard. Even if that, I'll be there, and I'll be there to pray with them. Might even kick it off. But my goal, my vision is where you guys can do it all on your own. Where there's a band, an actual band that can sing more than 2 songs, and a guy that can get up there, even 2 or 3 of y'all. Now, Bo's already come out. He's one of them that's going to be doing that. That can teach the lesson. And then have like a prayer team set up in place, and just kind of lead it and talk about upcoming events. Hey guys, who's going to be volunteering for this? Where I'm just watching you guys do it, and I'm not saying doing my job for me. Like I said, one night out of the month, and I'll be there to do everything else, and I'll be obviously the driving force behind it. But to get you guys in a role to where when you get out of here, when you're an adult, a true adult, and you're out at college or doing your vocational schools or whatever you're doing, you can go to church and automatically fit in that church somewhere instead of just going, sitting an hour and going home. Where you go in, I know how to sing, I know how to play the piano, I know how to play guitar, I know how to teach lessons, I know I can preach, I can do all these different things. How can I serve? How can I help you? Because you're so used to being in those roles as youth members that it's just natural. I want you guys to feel out of place if you're not helping. I want you guys to feel out of place. Like, I want you to feel it on your heart, like, I need to be doing something. There's a spot. That's what I know how to do. Even if it can be a soundboard or just anything, greeting people as they come in. Because I know we have people in our youth group that are just naturally warm people that and they're personable. They're easy to talk to. And then you have people that they don't really like to talk, but they like to work behind the scenes. And you got people that like to speak and sing in front. We got a huge dynamic within our youth group of different things that you're good at. And so when you go to a different church, or even if you come back here, you'll know where you're good at serving, and you'll feel called to. That's my goal, is just to get you guys at a place to where when you get out of here, you'll be able to just take off and help whatever church you join. And obviously the end goal is being close to Christ and telling everybody else about Jesus, and that can be greatly done through the ministry that you're called to. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, you guys have anything you want to end with? Tell anybody? Shout outs, whatever, because I'm about to wrap it up.
No.
We've been doing this for a while. That's good. All right, so there will be episodes scattered out throughout the following months. About once every 2 to 3 months, I'm going to have either
2 to 3 weeks.
No, months. I'm going to have like a missionary on or a different pastor. It won't be youth. About once every 3 months, I'll drop an episode that is kind of out of the norm. And we'll get to hear wisdom and experience that comes from those years of ministry in those fields. So I want to thank God for this amazing opportunity. I want to thank our youth for serving and from VBS in the summertime, going on youth trips, coming in here doing the youth podcast. I want to thank Josh for helping me set all this up, because without him, this ain't happening. I'm not good at that. He had already come here twice to do cards in between his sessions. So it's awesome having him here, and it's just neat seeing how excited they get over stuff like this. It really is. I've had other pastors and a youth pastor tell me that this ain't normal. Like this group's not normal, because they get excited about church and serving and loving God. So it's neat. So do you guys want to be on this podcast again?
Yeah.
Yes.
You will be. It might be a little while, because we got to run through quite a few of you guys.
Yeah,
But
you said it'd be like 6 months.
I'll try to make it less than that. But the majority of the time, I'll be having you guys on, and I'll switch you guys up. Next time it won't be you two. You'll be you and somebody else, or you and somebody else. So eventually we'll come back around. We'll switch you guys up. But we'll get in that rotation. But I'm glad you guys want to do it again.
Yeah, like I said, weeks when you were saying every 2 to 3 months. I thought you were saying you'll have another episode in 2 to 3 weeks.
Well, I'm about to talk about that right now. Speaking of what you're talking about, the structure of the podcast moving forward is going to look like this. We plan to drop a new episode once every 2 weeks is when it'll happen. It'll typically run anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour. I think we're closer to like an hour and a half now. Yeah. But I'm going to try to keep it 30 minutes to an hour, but we'll see how that goes. 90% of our episodes will be focused on youth ministry with these guys and myself. But the other 10%, it'll be men and women that will cover different biblical topics from biblical worldview, from missionaries, other pastors, and just kind of see if I think or see something that's interesting or meet someone that I think would be good for the show, I'll have them on about once every 3 months.
And Jude, you're saying it'll be 30 minutes to an hour, but right now we're at like saying 30 minutes to an hour. It's like, I bet most of them will be an hour and a half. Like
okay.
On Sundays, you say this will be a 20-minute lesson. It goes on for an hour.
That's true. So we're going to try to keep it within an hour, but it could be an hour and a half. Does that sound good? Mm-hmm. But we'll see. That's just it. This is the first one, so this gives me a gauge of where we're at. So it'll be anywhere from an hour to 2 hours, I'm sure. And with other people, it could be even. It is what it is.
It depends on who's in here.
That's right. Yeah, that's it. But it'll at least be an hour, I'm sure. Our next episode, we're gonna have 2 more youth members on, and you'll get to know them. They'll introduce themselves, kind of like these guys did, and we'll go over pretty much the same topics. I'll go over some of the same scenarios from their eyes. I'll ask them some different questions and things like that, and I'm very excited to see what God has in store for this podcast show. And you can support us by subscribing to it through our YouTube page that we're going to have up here very soon. We're going to try to get on Apple Podcasts as soon as possible. You can also go to our Facebook, our church's Facebook. It's DeQueen First Baptist Church. And our website is www.fbcdequeen.com. And you can listen to our podcast and watch our sermons through our website. So it'll definitely be on there. I would love to see every one of you guys to watch or listen to what we have here. Please join us on this journey as we start to dive deep into how these guys think and to think about culture, because we'll start talking about culture and things, and we'll also talk about biblical topics and stuff like that, and we'll be deep diving into it. But until then, stay strong in the faith, and thanks for listening. God bless.